All right, family, let's jump right in. Dear Dr. Dandridge, I recently had to sign the DNR for my dad, and it shook me in ways I didn't expect. Even though the doctors explained everything, I still feel like I made a decision that was too big for me. I keep replaying it in my mind, wondering if I gave up too soon or if I betrayed him somehow. I know it's meant to honor his comfort, but it feels like I crossed the line I wasn't ready to cross. How do people live with a decision that heavy? Wow. Thank you for writing in. This is actually a conversation that I have with a lot of my patient families, and I actually wrote an entire book on it. I'm going to have that inside of the description called The Choice. A lot of people struggle with DNR decisions. It's a heavy decision to make. It does almost feel like you're giving up on the person. Some people feel as though they are scared into signing DNR status for a patient. One of the things that I always like to push is number one, to have this conversation with your family before they get to the level of hospice care and even before they get to the level of just being sick. One of the things I always push, and I'm going to get to your question in a minute. One of the things that I always push to just people in general, including individuals that are in their 20s, have an advance directive and have something written in the event that you have a medical emergency of what you want and what your desire is. If you're watching this and you are worried about your spouse, your loved one, if you're worried about someone else as far as you signing their DNR and making that decision for them, after you've done that, begin to make your own plans and make sure that your wishes are known, because I really do believe that that will help alleviate the burden in us having these kind of conversations in the future. A couple of things that I want you to consider. The first thing is that DNR is actually an act of love, not an act of abandonment. One of the things, and I think the simplest way that I say for a lot of my families is, do you want, when that time comes for your loved one to transition, do you want comfort or do you want chaos? That is really what it boils down to. Comfort says you allow the body to do its natural thing and to transition in a natural way. Introducing CPR without DNR status introduces chaos. One of the things, and I think I've said it inside of a previous conversation, that I hate about my job is the amount of media that people have been exposed to as it relates to CPR, end of life, DNR, intubation, CPR, all this kind of stuff. Because what you see in the movies, what you see on television, does not even compare to what CPR looks like in real life. I always advise for individuals who are faced with this decision to accept a certain level of reality that CPR and life saving procedures are not as pretty as they look like inside of the media. So you do have to say within yourself, do you want to provide comfort for your loved one, or are you open to a certain level of chaos when that time of transition comes? Because those will be the only two options. Another thing that I encourage my families to consider is to separate the decision from the outcome. What I mean when I say that is that DNR does not create decline. Illness creates decline. A lot of my patient families, they believe that as soon as they sign DNR status, that their loved one is going to be gone in a matter of weeks or in a matter of days. You signing DNR status is really just informing medical professionals what the desire is when the person begins to transition, when the person stops breathing, there is no pulse. When they go into cardiac arrest, that's really all DNR is what do we do when that moment happens? Signing DNR does not take away illness. It does not hurry illness. It does not expedite mortality. You've got to separate the decision for DNR status from the outcome of the person living or the person transitioning or the person getting CPR or the person not getting CPR. And I know it's hard, but many people connect that DNR status decision with mortality. They automatically connect that DNR status decision with death being imminent. And that is not the case when you sign that paperwork. The disease is going to take its natural progression. The disease is going to do what it's going to do. And that will be the cause of your loved one's death, not the DNR process and the CPR. And no, their illness is what will be the thing that causes them to transition. And you have to be accepting of that over all things. The last thing I want you to consider is just to talk it through. That's one of the things that I say inside of my book, The Choice, is to really talk through the decision. There are some people who don't get a chance to talk through it and they have to make the decision at the time of transition. There are some people who are entering into hospice care and have to have that conversation with their loved ones. And it goes both ways. As a matter of fact, I'm really am going to encourage that if you are struggling with DNR status, that you get the book that I wrote, The Choice, because it really, in my opinion, I hope I did a good job with explaining it from both sides, from the patient's point of view, and then also from the family and the caregiver's point of view. Inside of this conversation, my encouragement to you to answer your question, how do people live with the decision that heavy? Have some conversations. Talk about it before the decision has to come, but then also talk about it after you've made the decision. A lot of people don't realize is that that decision is pretty fluid. If on Monday you talk with mom or dad and y'all are like, I'm fine with, DNR status. And when that time comes, just let me transition peacefully. That can be Monday. And on Wednesday, you all are talking through some things. And then you're like, well, no, I don't think I want. Guess what? It's not etched in stone. You can always change it and vice versa. If you are not for DNR and you're like, give me CPR. If anything happens on Wednesday, please try to revive me, try to bring me back. But then on Thursday, Friday, you have the conversation with your loved one and they're like, something, I really am at peace. I am okay with this illness. I am okay with transitioning. You can always then sign the DNR status then. So it's nothing really etched in stone with regards to DNR status, especially inside of the hospice world. Now, there are some legalities. Again, I'm not medical, just kind of giving some emotional and spiritual advice. There are some legalities with regards to, whether the person is oriented and coherent and able to make their needs known. There are a lot of things associated with that. But I always encourage individuals to just talk it through. Talk it through with someone. Talk it through with your family. It might cause some arguments. Let's just be honest. A lot of people get inside of their feelings when we start having these kind of conversations. Talk it over with your religious leader. If you have one, talk it over with medical professionals. Get the opinion of the nurse. Get the opinion of the doctor. Get the opinion of the social worker. Get the opinion of the chaplain. Just talk it through because everybody's going to give you a different opinion and perspective about this big decision that you have to make. It is big, but I do believe that you can live through the decision. And yes, it's heavy, but I do believe that the burden will become a little more light when you start talking through it and start expressing exactly what you're feeling because of having to make this decision, the fears, the anxiety, the stress, and everything. Thank you for joining me at my desk. I'm Dr. Dandridge. This has been Designing Your Goodbyes. I hope and pray that this conversation helped out a little bit. Please do me a favor, share this with someone who you know might be struggling with a DNR status decision for their loved one and kind of feeling that weight associated with making that decision. So just share this with somebody. It really does help with me spreading my message of hope and helping people to design their intentional goodbyes. Listen, I've got another episode right here that I think that you will enjoy. As soon as you click that video, I'll be right there to welcome you. I'll see you soon, okay?